Let's be clear from the start. The law of attraction is a lie saying that you will get anything you want. If you think simply being passive thinking or morally upright is enough to rise in this world, you're ignoring the raw truth of existence. And the worst part is, deep down, you feel it. You feel the weight of every moment you've betrayed your own potential in the name of comfort. How many times have you silenced your instincts to please others? How many times have you denied your inner fire, your drive to grow stronger, to overcome, only to feel smaller, weaker, more invisible than before? You've been taught that thinking positivity is enough, that good thoughts and beliefs are rewarded, but the reality is different. The world doesn't reward your thoughts. It rewards those who know how to act in the way it progresses to the world. And this is where Nietzsche understood something that most people ignore. Human nature is chaotic, driven by instinct, desire, and fear. Nietzsche made it clear that passivity in the face of this chaos is not virtue, it's surrender. He showed that strength without inner transformation is shallow, that morality without self-overcoming is just obedience in disguise, that comfort without challenge is a slow death. And now tell me, how many times have you chosen safety over becoming more? Think about those you admire, those who have truly achieved greatness. They didn't conform to life. They carved their own path through it. Do you think they got there through the law of attraction? No. They rose because they embraced the struggle within, because they realized that life doesn't reward the tame. It rewards those who channel their chaos into power. Nietzsche's will to power is not about crushing others. It's about transcending who you were yesterday. Knowing when to restrain yourself and when to unleash your force is the difference between becoming a creator of values or a follower of others. The problem isn't that you're not capable. The problem is that you've never dared to confront your full potential. You assume others seek truth, fairness, growth, but most are driven by comfort, instinct, and fear. The world is full of people who settle, conform, and manipulate, and they instinctively avoid those who rise. And you, without knowing it, have dulled your own blade to make others feel safe. This is where Nietzsche offers a radical alternative: self-overcoming. It's not about becoming ruthless. It's not about rejecting your values. It's about realizing that true strength is forged through conflict, especially the conflict within. It's about seeing reality without illusions, sharpening your awareness, and using resistance as fuel. Because in the end, greatness belongs to those who choose to become who they are. And you, what have you chosen? Likely, you've chosen comfort, chosen to be agreeable, chosen the path of least resistance. But tell me, what has that brought you? Not depth, not transformation. What you've gained is a quiet life built on silence and compromise. A life where your potential remains untouched. Because virtue without power doesn't lead to greatness. It leads to stagnation. Don't get it wrong. This isn't a call to abandon who you are. It's a call to become more than you are. Nietzsche never said to stop being good. He said to outgrow your innocence. Understand that the world doesn't reward passivity. It rewards those who rise through struggle. That true nobility is not in obedience, but in the fierce act of self-overcoming, of shaping your chaos into strength and your will into destiny. Nietzsche taught that strength isn't just physical, it's existential. It's not only about what you appear to be, but about what you choose to become through struggle. If you show the world your weakness, it will shape you in its image. But if you radiate inner power, the power of someone who has overcome themselves, the world takes notice. How many times have you shrunk yourself to be accepted? How many times have you betrayed your inner fire just to avoid discomfort, only to find that you've lost far more than you've preserved? This isn't a call to cruelty, it's a call to evolution. The key is knowing when to resist, when to transform, when to rise above your former self. Gentleness can be noble, but if it's rooted in fear or conformity, it turns into self-sabotage. The mistake many make is believing that the world respects purity alone. It doesn't. The world respects will, those who carry the strength to shape themselves despite it all. Kindness without power is ignored. Strength without reflection is brutality. But when the will to power merges with conscious restraint, true nobility emerges. Nietzsche would never tell you to become a monster, but he would warn you. If you suppress your instincts, they will devour you from within. True virtue is not denial, it's integration. It's not about being swallowed by the world, but but about bending it through the force of who you become. Think carefully. How much longer will you live beneath your potential? How much longer will you fear the pain of transformation? I'm not telling you to stop being good. I'm telling you to become dangerous in your goodness. To embody a strength that doesn't need to roar, but cannot be ignored. Learn to master yourself, and the world will follow. Because the world isn't built on fairness. It's built on force, on will, on the raw energy of becoming. And Nietzsche didn't speak of the will to power to justify cruelty. He revealed it as the path to transcendence. He wasn't teaching you to dominate others. He was urging you to rise above yourself. And now tell me, will you keep living in the illusion that passive virtue is enough? Or will you finally awaken to your own untapped power? Here's a truth most never grasp. Self-overcoming isn't just about strength, it's about the expression of it. It's not enough to grow, you must embody that growth. It's not enough to evolve, you must radiate that evolution. Because in this world, people don't respond to what you are, they respond to what you signal. Think about it. How often have you watched someone half as capable surpass you, simply because they carried themselves with boldness, with certainty, with presence? How often has quiet brilliance been overshadowed by loud mediocrity? That's not a flaw in the system, it is the system. People are drawn to the one who seems to be in motion, becoming, expanding, the one who commands space, not with noise, but with conviction. The one who doesn't flinch, who doesn't beg for validation, who doesn't wait to be chosen, but chooses themselves again and again. And this is where many fall. They believe that inner strength will eventually be noticed, that authenticity alone will speak loudly enough. But Nietzsche knew, the world doesn't reward those who hide in the shadows of their own potential. It rewards those who step into their chaos, forge meaning, and become the signal. The world doesn't reward those who simply are strong. It rewards those who become strength itself, who express it boldly, unapologetically. Nietzsche saw this with piercing clarity. It's not enough to possess potential. The will to power demands that you actualize it, shape it, and project it. Because life isn't about passive truth, it's about the force of self-creation. An individual who overcomes themselves but hides it behind humility will never inspire awe. A mind that refines itself in silence but never dares to embody its power will be overlooked. A person who possesses depth, brilliance, and resilience but carries themselves as unsure will be treated as unworthy. That's why the path of self-overcoming is not only internal, it must become visible. You must not only evolve, you must announce your evolution through your posture, your presence, your choices. It's not deception, it's revelation. It's about directing the world's gaze toward the parts of you that reflect your becoming. Because in every encounter, people don't see you as you are. They see you through the lens of their fears, their desires, their limitations. And if you do not shape the impression, they will. So ask yourself, are you allowing others' projections to define your worth, or are you seizing the will to power by stepping fully into your becoming? If you possess strength but appear timid, they will dismiss you. If you are noble but seem uncertain, they will disregard you. If you are capable but carry doubt, they will overlook you. Nietzsche's lesson is clear. Don't just be, become, and let the world feel it. The art of self-mastery is what separates those who shape their fate from those shaped by it. And here, we step into a more uncomfortable but vital truth from Nietzsche. Power belongs to those who command themselves first. Have you ever wondered why the most formidable individuals always seem to move with precision, as if they were always one step ahead? Why those who rise above others carry an aura that can't be easily read? The answer lies in the will to power, not over others, but over oneself. Naive souls believe that full transparency is strength, that revealing every thought and feeling is noble. But Nietzsche knew, unfiltered expression is not power, it's exposure. The one who has not learned to govern their impulses, their words, their silence, has not yet begun the journey of self-overcoming. True strength is not found in constant expression, but in conscious restraint, in choosing when to speak and when to withhold, when to reveal and when to remain a mystery. Not to deceive, but to transcend the predictable self. In a world driven by power struggles and hidden motives, the individual who unveils everything becomes easy to tame. Learn to withhold, to let silence speak for you, to leave traces rather than declarations. Because the moment you become fully legible, the moment your every move is expected, your potential becomes limited, your strength neutralized. The greatest minds in history, from philosophers to leaders to artists, understood this. Self-overcoming isn't just a war against weakness, it's the art of inner command. Think of someone you admire, someone truly influential. Are they the type who spills everything they are, or the type who contains multitudes behind their gaze? Nietzsche would remind you, become the one who holds the reins, not just of words, but of your becoming. The problem with many is that they misunderstand strength as domination over others, when Nietzsche saw true strength as mastery over oneself. They believe the will to power is about control, but it's not. It's about self-overcoming, about transforming resistance into growth. Think about this. How many times have you avoided discomfort and stayed the same? How many times have you blamed others instead of facing your inner chaos? How many times have you shrunk yourself to fit into spaces that no longer challenge or elevate you? Self-overcoming is not in doing more. Self-overcoming is in knowing what to resist and what to transform. And here comes the big lesson that almost nobody understands. The one who overcomes himself the most, the one who masters his impulses the most, is the one who grows the most. Why? Because restraint creates tension. Tension creates transformation, and transformation is the essence of power. If you always act on impulse without mastering yourself, your strength will seem hollow. If you constantly justify your choices, it reveals a lack of inner authority. But when your actions are deliberate, when your restraint is chosen, when your growth is silent but undeniable, people begin to sense a deeper force within you. And here comes another fundamental concept, the power of self-transformation. Those who never change are easy to control, because true unpredictability comes from those who are always becoming. If you always remain the same, if you repeat the same patterns in thought, feeling, and action, you become stagnant and predictable. And what is predictable can be dominated. But when you embody the will to power, when you evolve, disrupt your own habits, and rise above who you were yesterday, you become untouchable. And in that becoming, others sense something untamed. Nietzsche understood this better than anyone. A person who clings to fixed identity is a person already conquered, but one who constantly overcomes himself, who remains in motion, who refuses to be reduced to any label, that is the one who truly holds power. And now, the question is, do you want to keep being a fixed identity, defined by others, predictable, and easily controlled? Or do you want to start embodying the will to power, someone who shapes themselves, masters their impulses, and evolves with intention? Because growth without direction is just an invitation to be shaped by the world instead of shaping it. Reality doesn't bend to illusions of virtue or passivity, so learn to overcome yourself, not according to borrowed ideals, but through the strength of your own becoming. And if you do it well, if you direct your transformation instead of waiting for it, then, for the first time, you'll stop being a product of the system and become one of the few who rise above it. But here comes the most interesting part, the power of strategic self-overcoming. Many believe that the key to power is constant action, relentless effort, always proving yourself. But Nietzsche's reality is different. The one who never pauses, who never retreats to evolve, stays trapped in repetition. True power comes from self-overcoming, transforming in silence, and returning stronger. Think about this. Why do some individuals radiate presence without saying a word, while others, despite all their effort, remain unnoticed? The difference lies in their depth. The one who has faced and transcended himself carries an invisible weight, a force that commands respect. Nietzsche showed that the highest strength doesn't shout, it emanates, because it is not presence alone that creates power, but the inner battles you've already won. When you never challenge yourself, when you remain in comfort and routine, the world begins to treat you accordingly, like someone who's stopped growing. And this doesn't just apply to ambition or success. It applies to relationships, identity, and existence itself. When you avoid struggle, you weaken your own becoming. When you refuse the call to self-overcome, you become predictable, just another form molded by the world, not a force that reshapes it. Think about it. How many times have you avoided discomfort and felt hollow afterward? How many times have you betrayed your own potential to stay accepted, only to be forgotten anyway? It's no coincidence. It's human instinct to dismiss what lacks intensity. What never transforms is overlooked. What is in motion commands attention. That's why you must learn to confront yourself, to harness your will to power, to manage not just how others perceive you, but who you are becoming. Don't always act on impulse. Don't always chase external validation. Learn to retreat into yourself. Learn to hold back your force until it sharpens. Because when you master the timing of your transformation, when you learn when to resist and when to strike, your presence begins to carry weight. The problem is that most people fear stillness. They fear that if they stop performing, they'll become irrelevant. But here's the brutal truth. If your worth depends on constant motion, then you were never truly powerful. Those who leave a mark are not the ones who exhaust themselves proving it, but the ones who know how to disappear into self-overcoming and return changed. Look at any great soul who transcended their time. Those who embodied the will to power were not scattered in every conflict. They chose their battles. They reserved their energy for the moments that shaped destinies, and when they moved, the world noticed. And this brings us to another essential truth. Self-overcoming begins with inner discipline. Here is where most people fall. They think power comes from domination, from outbursts of force, from visible strength. But Nietzsche knew that the highest power lies in mastering oneself. Because the one who cannot govern his emotions, the one who reacts without reflection, who is ruled by fear, rage, or ego, reveals his weakness. He becomes transparent, easily read, easily broken. True self-overcoming is silent, controlled, and far more dangerous. Think about the last time you were thrown off by someone, when anger took over, when you reacted without direction. In that moment, where was your will to power? It wasn't yours. It belonged to the one who disrupted your inner equilibrium, the one who exposed your lack of mastery, because the one who can stir your emotions owns your will. And here lies the core of Nietzsche's teaching. The one who overcomes himself, who holds firm when provoked, who turns instinct into conscious force. That is the one who truly possesses power. It doesn't matter if it's an argument, a challenge, or a moment of chaos. The one who transforms the impulse instead of obeying it, the one who turns tension into growth, always walks away stronger, because the one who overcomes their impulses shapes how the world perceives their strength. Nietzsche's will to power is not about suppressing emotion, it's about transfiguring it. It's not about feeling nothing, but about refusing to be mastered by what is felt. It's about ceasing to be a puppet of instinct and becoming the sculptor of your own soul. And when you apply this, you become untouchable. Others may attempt to provoke you, to stir the chaos within you, but if they can't shift your center, if they can't predict or control your response, they are the ones who become powerless. Here's the deeper truth. Those who rise are not necessarily the loudest or the most forceful. They are the ones who remain composed in the storm, who turn every test into fuel for transformation. And this brings us to the final key point. The will to power demands strategic self-mastery over time. Most people crave transformation without effort. They want greatness now, recognition now, power now. But what Nietzsche revealed, and what those who truly transcend their time have always embodied, is that real power doesn't belong to those who chase the world in haste, but to those who patiently forge themselves in silence. The will to power is not about reacting, it's about becoming. Not about grasping, but about building the strength to wait, to endure, to sharpen your force until the exact moment it must be released. Those who rise are not those who rush, but those who evolve, deliberately, relentlessly, until the world has no choice but to feel their presence. The world is full of people who react, who follow impulse, who chase immediate relief instead of lasting growth. But those who embody the will to power understand the deeper game. They observe themselves, endure discomfort, and transform in silence. Think of self-overcoming like a sculptor with a hammer. He doesn't strike wildly. He studies the stone, waits for the precise angle, the perfect pressure. Only then does he act, each blow purposeful, each cut refining who he is becoming. This is the essence of Nietzsche's path. It's not the one who moves first who ascends, but the one who waits until his inner force is sharp enough to break through fate itself. Nietzsche taught that life is not given. It is created through struggle, transformation, and self-mastery. The will to power is not about charging forward blindly. It's about knowing when to endure and when to assert, when to withhold and when to unleash. The mediocre are ruled by instinct. The self-overcomer shapes instinct into conscious force. And now I ask you, are you merely reacting to life, or are you actively becoming something greater? Because in this world, true power doesn't belong to the loudest or the quickest. It belongs to those who have forged themselves in silence, to those who master perception, transmute chaos into clarity, and wait, not passively, but purposefully, until their becoming can no longer be ignored. And if you embody all of this, you will stop being a product of circumstance and start becoming the author of your own becoming. The world will remain indifferent, even hostile, but now you'll move through it with inner force, not as a pawn, but as a creator. But here comes what truly separates those who merely adapt from those who transcend. The ability to become a force that breaks the pattern, a will that refuses to be molded, because now you know, now you understand that comfort weakens. That transformation requires struggle, that self-mastery is power, that restraint is strength, that becoming scarce, deliberate, and untamed is what elevates your presence beyond the reach of the ordinary. But what good is all of this if you keep living as the same version of yourself, shaped by fear, comfort, and habit? If you seek different outcomes, you must become someone who refuses to remain what the world has made of you. Not by rebelling aimlessly, but by forging a new path through self-overcoming. The problem with most people is that they think and act within the narrow walls built by others. They do not question the mold, they obey it. They repeat the same behaviors, respond the way they were conditioned, and stay safely within the bounds of what is allowed. But those who truly rise, those who bend reality to their will, are the ones who dare to break their own patterns, to reinvent themselves, to become what no one saw coming. And here's the great truth Nietzsche revealed. The world is built to absorb and suppress the ordinary. If you live as everyone else does, you will become what everyone else becomes. Ordinary, forgettable, lost in the current of time. That is the death of becoming. That is the failure of the will to power. The only path to greatness is to break the cycle, to be the one who dares to rise above instinct, who does not react, but transforms. The one who reinvents himself endlessly, who holds unseen depths, who refuses to be reduced or predicted. Be the one whose presence carries weight because it is built on silence, struggle, and self-overcoming. The one whose words matter because they are forged, not spilled. When you truly grasp Nietzsche's will to power, something irreversible shifts within you. You realize you were never powerless, only unaware of your potential to transform. You see that it wasn't the world that dismissed you, but your own failure to shape yourself into something undeniable. But now you see. And that vision is dangerous. Because once you begin to direct your own becoming, once you start using discipline as your forge, silence as your strength, and struggle as your teacher, you can never return to who you were. Those who once overlooked you will begin to feel your presence. Those who once doubted you will sense something untamed behind your eyes. Those who once tried to control you will hesitate, because now you are not merely reacting to life, you are mastering it. Now you are someone who doesn't just move through the world, you shape it from the inside out. And here comes the most vital confrontation. Will you rise into your own becoming, or will you retreat into the comfort of who you've always been? Because what separates those who ascend from those who fade is not the idea of transformation, it's the will to act. You can stay here, letting the will to power remain just a concept, something abstract, something safe. Or you can begin to embody it. You can begin the struggle. The choice is entirely yours. But know this, if you turn back, if you continue to live as before, you will do so carrying the weight of awareness, that you are choosing stagnation over growth, weakness over becoming. Or you can begin the ascent now, into a self no one else can define. Small acts of discipline, small moments of resistance. Resist the urge to be understood too quickly. Transform reaction into reflection. Withhold the impulse to prove yourself. Step back when your instinct says to charge. Endure silence, not as weakness, but as strength sharpening itself. These small expressions of the will to power, applied again and again, will not just change how others see you, they will change what you are. Until one day, without warning, you will have become someone who no longer fits into the mold you once obeyed, because the world forgets those who merely adapted. It remembers those who overcame, who turned struggle into self-mastery and silence into force. And now I ask you, are you ready to begin the becoming? If you've made it this far, I want to know who truly grasped the essence of Nietzsche's message. Leave the phrase, "becoming begins in silence," in the comments. And let's see how many of you understood that true power lies not in noise, but in self-mastery. And if this video stirred something in you, if it made you confront your limits or glimpse what you could become, subscribe, because this is just the first step on the path of self-overcoming. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, don't just survive within the system, become the one who rises beyond it.